At exactly 6:43 p.m., Detective Sarah Mitchell's phone rang just as she was preparing to leave the precinct. The voice on the other end was trembling. "You need to come to Lincoln Middle School right now." No explanation. No details. Only one sentence before the caller hung up. The wrong man is about to get away with something unforgivable. When Sarah arrived, the school parking lot was nearly empty. A single police cruiser sat outside the gymnasium, and inside, a 13-year-old girl named Emily Carter sat wrapped in a blanket, refusing to speak. She wasn't crying. She wasn't screaming. She simply stared at the floor as if every word she wanted to say had been stolen from her. Standing across the hallway was Daniel Brooks, a respected 38-year-old history teacher, married for 12 years, father of 2, and known throughout the town as one of the school's favorite educators. Everyone insisted there had to be a mistake. Except Emily. She refused to look at him. Detectives searched Daniel's classroom expecting to find something suspicious. Instead, they found exactly the opposite. Awards lined every wall. Letters from grateful parents. Photos from charity events. Certificates recognizing him as Teacher of the Year. Even Emily's parents admitted Daniel had helped their daughter improve her grades. There was no criminal history. No complaints. No warning signs. The school principal defended him immediately. "I trust Daniel with my own children." The investigation seemed to be collapsing before it had even begun. Then forensic technician Mark Lewis noticed something odd. Daniel's classroom security camera had stopped recording for exactly 42 minutes. Only one afternoon. The same afternoon Emily stayed after school. Someone had manually disabled it, and only 2 people had access to the system. Daniel and the assistant principal. While detectives argued over the missing footage, another student quietly approached Officer Lisa Grant. He was 12. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. "I wasn't supposed to tell anyone." The boy explained that weeks earlier he had stayed late for basketball practice. While walking past the history hallway, he saw Daniel arguing with someone inside the classroom. The blinds were closed. He heard crying. Before he could get closer, Daniel suddenly stepped into the hallway. Smiling. "Come," he simply told the student. "Go home. Practice is over." The boy believed nothing of it, until he saw Emily on the news. Now he couldn't sleep. Detectives obtained a search warrant for Daniel's home. His wife, Laura Brooks, insisted they would find nothing. She had been married to him for over a decade. She believed she knew everything about him. While officers searched upstairs, Laura opened a locked cabinet in Daniel's home office. She had never been inside it before. Hidden beneath old lesson plans was a second cell phone. She stared at it in confusion. She didn't know the passcode, but a detective recognized the model. The notifications were still visible. Several messages had arrived that afternoon. None included names, only initials. One message read, "Delete everything before tomorrow." Laura's face turned pale. For the first time, she stopped defending her husband. Digital investigators unlocked the hidden phone. There were no explicit photos. No obvious confession. Instead, they discovered months of deleted conversations recovered from cloud backups. Many had been erased only hours before detectives arrived. Several students had been contacted through unofficial messaging apps. Most conversations appeared harmless. Homework, grades, school projects, until one thread abruptly stopped. Emily's. The final recovered message simply read, "Don't tell anyone. They'll never believe you." Detective Sarah looked up from the screen. She no longer believed this was an isolated incident. She feared Emily had simply been the first person willing to speak. Just when investigators believed they had enough evidence, an elderly janitor named Frank Ellis asked to speak privately. He admitted something that haunted him every day. Months earlier, he noticed Daniel leaving the history hallway long after everyone else had gone home. He also noticed Daniel repeatedly requesting maintenance keys, claiming classroom doors kept sticking. Frank thought nothing of it, until he remembered one strange detail. Daniel always returned the keys, except once. One master key had been reported lost. A replacement had quietly been issued. Nobody ever questioned it. Detectives suddenly realized Daniel may have had unrestricted access to nearly every classroom after school hours. The investigation widened immediately. The courtroom remained silent as Emily finally spoke. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't look toward Daniel. She simply answered each question carefully, refusing to let fear control her anymore. Digital evidence. Recovered messages. Building access records. Witness testimony. Together, they painted a picture the defense struggled to explain. Daniel denied every allegation. He insisted the messages had been misunderstood. He claimed the investigation had targeted him unfairly. But every new piece of evidence contradicted another part of his story. The jury didn't deliberate for long. Daniel Brooks was convicted and sentenced according to the fictional court's findings in this story. As officers escorted him from the courtroom, he glanced toward Laura. She didn't cry. She didn't wave. She simply removed her wedding ring and placed it quietly on the bench. Months later, Lincoln Middle School introduced new policies requiring stricter supervision, expanded reporting procedures, and enhanced student safety measures. Emily eventually returned to school, not because the memories had disappeared, but because she refused to let them define the rest of her life. Detective Sarah would later write one sentence in her final case notes. Predators often hide behind trust. The courage to speak can be the first step toward protecting others. The courtroom eventually emptied. The headlines faded. But one question lingered long after the verdict. How many dangerous people appear ordinary until someone finds the courage to tell the truth?